All right, today we are diving deep into the playbook of Whitney Wolfe Herd. And this isn't just about building a billion-dollar company. This is about a strategy that completely rewrote the rules of power, safety, and connection in the whole tech world. Everything starts right here with this one idea. This wasn't just some clever thought she had one day. No, this was a profound realization that was born from, immense pressure. Instead of just accepting the story the industry was trying to write for her, she decided to become the author of a completely new one. And that really is the central question we're tackling today. This isn't just another comeback story. It's a total masterclass in strategy. It's about how you take a moment of what feels like extreme vulnerability and turn it not into a shield, but into your sharpest, most effective weapon. So let's get into it.
So where did it all begin? Well, it started with a huge foundational shift in her thinking. This wasn't about just making a better app or adding a new feature. This was about redesigning the entire philosophy of power, right from square one.
This slide right here, it really lays out the core difference. The old way, the old playbook, especially if you're an outsider, was all about working your tail off and just hoping for a seat at the table. Wolfe Herd's strategy, it completely rejected that. She figured out that real power isn't getting an invitation, it's building a brand new table where you don't just have a seat, you set the rules for the whole room. While the rest of Silicon Valley was totally obsessed with these surface-level things like swiping and engagement, her focus went so much deeper. She was re-engineering what she called the social logic of connection. This meant she wasn't just trying to fix a bug here or add a button there. No, she was digging all the way down to the broken psychology at the very root of online interactions and redesigning the whole system from there. And it is absolutely crucial to get this. Her motivation was not about getting revenge on a former company. It was a quest for something way more fundamental: agency, the power to act, the power to choose, and the power to control your own narrative and your own safety. That was the real price. So out of that one defining moment, 3 core beliefs really solidified. First, weaponize safety. Turn a vulnerability into the product's strongest feature. Second, redesign the power dynamic from the ground up. And third, and this is a big one, understand that user empathy isn't some soft skill, it is your most potent, lethal, strategic weapon. But look, this philosophy, it wasn't academic. It didn't come out of some business school textbook. It was forged in the fire of intense, public, personal, and professional struggle. Her journey was, just a dramatic arc. From a driven college entrepreneur and an activist, she became a key player at Tinder, a company she actually named. But then came the fall. A huge, high-profile lawsuit in 2014 alleging harassment led to her being publicly branded a disgraced co-founder, and she retreated to a Utah apartment, which became the forge for her entire vision. And this right here really captures the central conflict of her early career. By every measure of talent, drive, and this intuitive knack for finding solutions, she was a true insider. But the industry's culture, it cast her as an outsider. So for her, the traditional corporate path wasn't a ladder she could just climb. It felt more like a prison that was limiting her impact. Just try to imagine that for a second. Having your contributions, your identity, systematically wiped from the story of a company you helped build from the ground up. The experience was described as a soul-crushing weight, and that profound betrayal became the very fuel for her revolution. That time she spent in isolation, that was her forge. That's where everything was hammered into shape. She was facing this barrage of digital harassment and the really stark reality that her role was being totally minimized. But she didn't break. Instead, she built this internal fortress. She started to systematically unlearn that basic human instinct to seek approval from others, realizing it was just a trap that gives away all your control. And what came out of that fire, out of that furnace, was a permanent, unshakable truth. The decision she made right there, to always make the sovereign first move, to reclaim her own agency, that wasn't a temporary fix. It became the bedrock of everything she would build next. Okay, so we've seen the trial by fire. Now let's talk about what was born from all that friction and erasure. This powerful new mindset is where we really break down the core philosophy: agency by design. This is the absolute core of her philosophy, and it's literally built right into the product. Instead of waiting for permission, you act.
This is exactly why on Bumble, women make the first move. It's not just some clever feature, it's a design choice that anchors the entire interaction in the user's power and control from the very, very beginning. All right, so if agency by design is about making the first move, then this next piece, behavioral sovereignty, is what makes that move feel safe. It's a defensive strategy. It's the why behind features like photo verification and having really robust blocking tools. It's all about creating a protected space where you control the terms of engagement, instead of just passively reacting to whatever the market throws at you. And finally, we have this idea of kindness as power, which totally flips the script on what kindness means in business. This reframes kindness not as some passive virtue, but as a disciplined, strategic choice. In this model, the value of your work isn't measured in aggressive growth or daily active users. It's measured in the dignity and the safety it provides. It's a direct challenge to the often toxic nature of the internet. So you see, when you put all these pieces together, it's clear Bumble was never just another dating app. It wasn't about simply matching people. It was a real-world systematic laboratory. It was designed to prove a theory that a system built on agency, sovereignty, and kindness could not only survive in the cutthroat tech world, but actually dominate it. Okay, but a philosophy is just a bunch of nice ideas without a system to back it up, right? So how does she actually translate these abstract ideas into a tangible, repeatable system that an entire company could actually follow? Well, the heart of her entire operation came down to one core rule, and it flew in the face of the entire startup mantra of growth at all costs. She famously refused to build for growth if it ever came at the expense of user safety. That single decision reoriented her entire company's priorities from engineering all the way to marketing. She enforced this with a process she called the Agency Audit. It's a simple 4-step check on every single decision. Take step 4, dismantle the noise. This basically meant actively ignoring the chorus of industry veterans and VCs who kept insisting a women-first platform was some niche idea that would never scale. It's a system for protecting your core philosophy from conventional thinking. And this slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. It's a tale of 2 completely different playbooks. On the right, you've got the standard tech playbook, obsessed with growth hacks, addictive engagement loops, and just harvesting data. And on the left, the Wolfe Herd Playbook, built on a foundation of safety, the power of the first move, and a non-negotiable respect for user dignity. These are 2 fundamentally different worlds. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Her competitors were all chasing these fleeting metrics on a spreadsheet. They were optimizing for clicks and data points. She was optimizing for something so much more meaningful, so much more human. Evidence of dignity, of safety, of the first move. So what was the end result of all this relentless focus? Well, it wasn't just a successful company. It was a complete transformation of her own identity, and in the process, a redesign of what a modern founder could even be. So let's just take a second and rewind. Remember the before picture? A young, talented VP whose contributions were being actively erased from the public record. An outsider who was basically told her part of the story just didn't matter. And then there's the after. Through the system she built, she became more than a CEO or a self-made billionaire. She became the architect of a new approach to digital connection, and she fundamentally changed the entire conversation about what we should expect and what we should demand from our technology. I mean, her legacy is just profound. She proved that redesigning a power dynamic isn't just a feel-good mission. It's a powerful, structural weapon for building a moat around your business. She completely destroyed that tired old myth that success is all about the chase, and she built a corner of the digital world where the true currency isn't validation from others, but pure, unvarnished agency. Her story provides the blueprint. The principles are all laid out. So the question becomes, how can we apply this powerful playbook to our own work and to our own lives? All right, for this last part, let's bring this home. Let's translate these huge ideas into a personal code. Let's look at how you can apply the Wolfe Herd Playbook right now. Look, it all boils down to this one fundamental mental shift. Stop seeing your career or your projects as this process of just waiting for an invitation to someone else's room. Start seeing yourself as the architect, as the person with the power to design and build the room yourself completely on your own terms. And I want you to really sit with this question. Seriously, look at your work, your relationships, maybe a personal goal you have. Where are you passively accepting a dynamic that just doesn't serve you? What would it actually look like to actively redesign it, to put yourself back in the position of agency? So, here's your first move. I'm giving you a challenge.
This week, find just one area, one meeting, one project, one conversation where you've been passive. Then commit, really commit, to owning the agency in that moment. Don't just do the task, shift your focus to becoming the master of its outcome.
And this is the simple but incredibly powerful truth at the heart of all of this. We often feel like victims of circumstance, but in so many areas of our lives, passivity isn't a condition we're stuck with. It's a choice. And if it's a choice, that means you can always choose differently.
And that's what I want to leave you with. Your potential isn't out there somewhere waiting for you to find it. It's right here, inside your own agency. And making that first sovereign move, that right there is the code that unlocks your greatness.